Welcome back to my shop. My name is Guy, and this is the fourth episode of building this, which is a curved front end table. If you've missed the previous three episodes, I'll leave a link over here in the corner. You can take a look at those. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to build these curved front doors. Now this is a solid cherry front, dovetail construction, and there's veneer on the front, and I'll show you how I did that. I'm also going to take these doors and I'm going to cut them to size to fit the opening. I'm going to hang them, and I'm also going to put some veneer on top to make this look like one solid piece. So stick around, there's a lot of work to do. I'm getting ready to start cutting down these panels to size. What I want to do first is I want to cut off the tops of these. I'm going to cut them as close as possible to this piece of veneer right here. Now I know that this edge is perfectly straight, so I'm going to put that up against my miter fence, and then I'm just going to cut as little as I have to off the top of each of these. So now that I've cut the top, I've got a perfectly 90-degree corner right here. I've got some shims, and what these are is these are two pieces of veneer, because there's going to be veneer edge banding on the top and bottom of the drawer, and then I want a 32nd inch reveal. So I've got two 32nd inch shims. Those are going to go here like this. I'll place them on here. I'll put that 90-degree corner on the bottom there, and now I can mark for the top. And I'm just going to take a pencil and mark that, and that will give me the overall height of the door. So this is what I'm looking for. This is perfectly flush with the top of this shelf here. So I just need to cut the other one, and then we will cut them to width. So now I've got these cut to length, and I know I've got one true edge, and I still have my center line on my jig. I'm going to use this to all my advantage. So I've got a 32nd of an inch shim here, and I've got 4 pieces of edge banding. And what this represents is a 32nd inch I want between the two doors, and then the edge banding here, here, and on the two edges. So I just need to take this and sandwich it together and put it in that slot, which, believe it or not, comes out to pretty darn close to that 1/8 of an inch. So that gives me a nice reference point. So I can shove these up against here. Now I know that the distance between the two legs on this is 18 7/8. So half of that is 9 7/16. So working off my center line here, and I've got one of these centering scales, I just lined up the 0 on there, went 9 7/16 this way and a 9 7/16 this way, and drew a line. Now I'll be able to tape this down to the jig, take it over to the table saw, flip it upside down, and cut these to length. I've got the doors cut to width now, and I've got them in here temporarily shimmed just to see how it all looked. And it came out very, very nice. I'm really happy with how this came out. So the next thing I need to do is start working on the edge banding for the doors. But remember, I set these pieces of veneer that were cut-offs before. This is going to be for the sides. And I've got 4 pieces for the doors here. 2 of these I'm going to use for the edge banding at the top and the bottom. And 2 of them are going to be for the drawers themselves. So if you take a look at this, this is this side and this is this side. I know it's hard to see on camera, and the wood is a different color because of the exposure, but those grain lines match up perfectly. Now to the top of this, to the apex of this, is almost 7/8. So what I want to do is I want to take a 1-inch strip and cut it off of each bottom here. I'm going to put some glue on it, and then I'm going to edge band the tops of those so the grain flows through the top to the back. And so what I've got here is I've got the 2 top pieces and just 2 extra pieces cut for the bottoms, and I've got the pieces for the sides. Now I'm going to use the same cold pressed veneer glue that I used for the veneer on the panels, and I'm going to spread some of this on these pieces, and I'm going to let that dry to the touch, and then these are actually going to get ironed on. I've got all the pieces covered. I'm going to give these about 20, maybe 30 minutes to dry, so they need to be dry to the touch. and I'll go ahead and iron them on. So this is dried to the touch, and I'm going to do the sides first, and every time I start filming my furnace comes on. Anyways, I've got an iron set to medium-high heat. What I want to do first is I just want to tack that in place. Make sure I've got good overhang on both sides. And I can take this rag, I don't want to scorch the veneer. Lay it over that. And then just slowly iron it on. It doesn't take much. Well, after I'm pretty sure this is all down, I want to hit the edges of this board here just to make sure that I'm all the way to the edges and I'm nice and flat, which I am. I can take it out of here. I'll let this cool off for a few minutes and be very careful at edge. It's very, very delicate. After I've given this some time to cool off, just like before, I'm going to take my veneer knife. I'm just going to be very careful here. Well, that's it right there. I just need to clean this up a little bit of sandpaper and do the other side, and then I'll start working on the top and bottom. So really this is what I'm looking for. The grain's going to go like this and then go over the top edge. I'm not worried about the bottom, it's mainly the top. It's by no means perfect, but it's pretty damn close, and you'd really have to look hard, I guess, to notice it. So I need to fill in that crack a little bit there. I need to sand down these edges and then do the other door. I've already got the mortises for the hinges cut in the legs, so next thing I need to do is mark where those hinges are going to go on the doors. So I've got the top, or the bottom shelf and the top divider in place, and I'm going to put these 32nd inch shims right here. I'm going to take these doors, put them in place, so I can take my marking knife and just make a tick mark on the doors where the bottom and top of those hinges are. Well, I've got the doors hung, and I'm real happy with how they turned out. This is real nice and flush along the edges. I've got a nice even reveal on the bottom, which is my 32nd of an inch. This is a 32nd inch shim, and it's real nice and even with that along the top. So there's my reveal for the drawer. And here there's a 32nd of an inch reveal also, and it's pretty good. It gets a little bit tight up towards the top. It's just off just a tiny little bit. But again, not a big deal. I'm pretty happy with that. Let me spin it around. I can show you what I'm talking about on the back where the divider and the bottom shelf fit into this. Well, this is the reason I wanted the bottom shelf to be movable after I installed the doors. So after I got the doors in, I made them flush with the front so they're co-planar with the bottom. And I just simply moved this up until it met that. And I did the same thing with the top divider. That's why I wanted to be able to put them in from the back. So this is a nice flush fit all the way across the front here. Overall, this came out really well, and I'm extremely happy. So now I've got this part done. I need to start working on the drawer. What this blank is for the drawer front. The drawer front's going to be curved. I've got to have a chunk of wood like this that's about 2 1/8, 2 1/4 inches thick, I'm thinking. So I'm going to let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow I'm going to work on actually getting this square. And then I'm going to put the dovetails in it first before I do anything else. Now that I've got this piece milled to width, this is going to go right inside this drawer opening here. And it's not too tight, it's not too loose, it's just about perfect. So what I need to do now is I need to cut this to length so it fills that drawer opening completely. Well, I got lucky. It only took me 2 tries to do this, one to get it close and one to get it, well, just right. So this again fits inside of here. and it goes into both sides, and this is a nice snug fit. There's no play in it. I really don't want that yet. So the next thing I have to do is start cutting the dovetails for this. Now I've got the half-blind dovetails cut for the drawer sides. I need to start working on marking out the curve for the front that'll match the front of the cabinet. And this is material here is all going to get cut away on the bandsaw. Well, I spent a couple minutes on the sander and got this roughed out. The front of it anyways. I still need to ferret a little bit to get that completely smooth. The whole idea is that when it goes in here like this, it's going to be flush here and it's going to be flush on top here. So, and it is for the most part. I need to smooth this out a little bit more, and then I'm going to get this ready for the veneer that goes on the front of it. These two pieces of veneers are the cutoff from where the doors are underneath. I want the grain to flow all the way up into the drawer. So I've jointed an edge and I've squared an edge here on the bottom. I just want to take these, I'm going to temporarily put them in place. Some blue tape. I can take this piece, I'm going to give myself a little bit of an overhang. And take this and I can make a mark right here so I know where the top of this is. Well, I think I'm ready as I'm ever going to be. I get one shot at this. I'll put some glue on here. This is a cold pressed veneer glue. And the real trick to this is going to be to get all this stuff to line up, because I don't want to have to trim too much off of this. I've got about 22 inches of mercury. Everything seems to be holding real well. I want it to sit in here for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll take it out. Well, the piece is out of the clamps and came out really nice. I'm pretty sure my seam is nice and tight too. I've got a little, just a tiny little bit of overhang all the way around, which is what I want. I'm going to trim that off later. But for now, I've got to let this sit about 4 or 5 hours before I mess with it anymore. Well, I cut pretty close to the line, so I don't have a lot to clean up. I just want to clean up the mill marks. I'm just going to use a card scraper to do that. And just get those nice and smooth. Now that I have these dados cut for the back of the drawer, I need to cut this piece so it sits in between those two. So I know these are 1/4 inch deep. I got 1/4 inch left. So this is 18 3/4, so I need to take a 1/2 inch off of that. So this piece needs to be 18 1/4 for the back. I've got the glue up done, and it's nice and square. I measured the diagonals and it's perfect. So I'm just going to have to sit in the clamps for probably maybe an hour or so. I'll take them out and I'll set it aside and let it dry completely. Then I need to go back and put it into the cabinet and size it all correctly for that opening. piece all cut and it's ready to go in. I'm not going to glue it in quite yet, I just want to get it in there for now. Alright. Well, now that the drawer is done, I'm going to quit for now. It's got a nice action to it. I really like the way the grain flows through the doors into the drawer front, and this is all nice and coplanar. That was the biggest challenge to this project. Not only just the curved parts, but getting everything flat in the front. Well, flat on the curve, if that makes sense. Anyways, if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. I try to answer every question and comment I get down there. So, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.